friends, today on Belonging in Classrooms, I am so excited for you to get to meet and learn from two brilliant Native women who are here to talk a little bit about their work, about their culture, about the experiences that they dream of for Indigenous students. Today on Belonging in Classrooms, you will get to meet with Lisa Skjefte, who is here. She works at MIGIZI, which is a beautiful organization designed to support the innovation, creativity, love, joy, and play for Native youth here in Minneapolis. And you're also going to get to hear from Kija Deer. She is a graduate of that program and now works at the program, and she's going to teach us a lot about how we can center youth, how we can listen to them, and really start to see them as our future. I can't wait for you to hear the conversation today on Belonging in Classrooms. Welcome to Belonging in Classrooms. I would love to ask you both to introduce yourselves. So Lisa, would you go first?
Buju Anishinaabe Duke, Lisa Skjefte Indigenous Kaz, Miskwa, Gamiwe, Zaga, Ikaning, Ndunjaba, Gakabikang, and Da, MIGIZI, and Dananoki. My name is Lisa Skjefte. I'm from the Red Lake Nation. I'm Anishinaabe. I currently live here on Dakota homelands, and I work at MIGIZI. It's a Native youth after-school program. We specialize in academics and culture, and I'm happy to be here with you. Thank you for inviting us.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Kai. Introduce yourself.
Osio Nagata, Kija Deer, Dagoto. Hello, everyone. My name is Kija, and I also work at MIGIZI. I am from the Red Lake and Cherokee Nations, and I also live here in Minneapolis, otherwise known as Gakabikong. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. And so tell me, how in the world did you get introduced to the program you now work at as a high schooler?
Well, I'm currently not in high school.
No, but when you were a high schooler.
Okay, just had to clarify. Sure. Okay, so I was a high school student back in the day, like 5 years ago.
It was a lifetime ago.
I know, I'm a whole new person.
Yes.
I was talking to my Indigenous Studies teacher, and he was the only Native teacher at that entire school. And so I would be in his room a lot, and I would tell him my dreams and aspirations of how I wanted to be a filmmaker. And he told me to join the MIGIZI program, which had a film program in it. And so I went, and I had a lot of fun, and now I work there as the media assistant. So it's really, I don't know, something
It's
special.
Incredible. I think there's something really beautiful about your stage in life where you really can look back, and 5 years ago you were a different person, and then 5 years from now you'll feel that same thing. Your humanity is evolving so fast at your age, and it's beautiful, and I think the youth should lead us. So I'm so thankful for you for being here today.
Thank you.
And yeah, go ahead. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to champion that because Kaya's kind of like, you're the person that they're going to seek out when they're older. And we were talking about this on the way here. I'm like, they're going to tell you, like, the way you shine your light on them makes them feel seen.
Yes.
And it makes them, give them somebody that they can see themselves in. Like, everything that comes out of her mouth is always about college or her first apartment or her recent accolades or things that are going good in her life. And every single time she shares with them, they can see themselves mirrored in her existence, you know? And so, like, I know like for me, I had a position like that when I was young, and I had mentorship who stewarded me in how to like be a mentor, to be a supervisor, to be a partner alongside youth.
And what do you remember any specific instance or person in your after school programming that really just impacted you when you were way back when you were in high school?
Like MIGIZI wise?
Yeah.
Beneshikwe means I love her so much. She's the media instructor, so I work beside her now. But she taught me a lot, and she's basically my auntie at this point. And so, yeah, having her as a role model was something that I really needed at that point in my life. And I appreciate MIGIZI for what it is, because when I was a teenager, I had no good Native women role models around me. And so to be put in that space where I was surrounded by positive Native women who are always working hard and passionate about their careers, it really inspired me.
Do you remember one lesson or phrase or something she told you, or in a situation that had an impact on you? Oh, that's yes. That you feel comfortable sharing.
There's a few of them that I don't know if I can share.
Okay.
I don't want
you to share any secrets.
You have to pray a long time for these type of, you have to earn these teachings.
Yeah, you have to earn them.
They aren't just freebies.
No.
Okay. I love that. Thank you. It's a boundary right there. I love it so much. Okay, so talk to me about the importance of after school, especially for Native students. Like, what does it mean for them to have their own space? What do you provide? What keeps you going, Lisa?
So I think about this often because I think about like what I always tell the staff: be the youth worker that you wish you had. You know? Like, who did you wish for? Who did you need? What worked for you? And I know, like, for me, when I focus on those mentors that, like, helped, that poured into me. So, like, one of my favorite teachers at South, she became a principal. And we recently just lost her, Cece Sadler. She was one of my, she helped craft me, help mold me, because she saw the leadership in me, and she made sure that the supports that were I'm a South High graduate, and she made sure that like people were making sure I was filling out applications, or like I was coming to school. And although because by the time I graduated from South, she became like an assistant principal. She had less and less like people time, but because she was so diligent about putting people around me who could support me, it made me, I got into college, I got scholarships. It was all of that investment. So like when I'm working with our staff right now, I'm like, who is it that you needed? Who is it that showed up for you? And how can we embody that? And so like even this week, I always think about this because we have a young student. I was working on an Ojibwe phrase with one of our new staff. And she came over, and you know how I just pulled up the Ojibwe dictionary to like review a word? Yes. We were reviewing a sentence, and she just looked at us and she said, this young person, she's like, I wish school felt like MIGIZI does. And I wish our program felt like it, because like to like have so many spaces, we have 3 different programs going on at the same time, and each are dedicated and focused to like their own craftsmanship. Like we have career placement programs where we're like trying to get youth to explore career options while also tapping into like, because our mission at MIGIZI is to empower American Indian youth to reach their potential, their fullest potential, while using culture and leadership development to do that. And so we try to begin our day with teachings and root in our teachings. Like every day we begin in a circle where we smudge and we pass a sema to each other. And we talk about how asema is like one of our first medicines. And we tell the youth, and even like once a week I try to get on, like spew something to them, like give them some sort of teaching. And this week it was about, when you hold that asema, think about the future, like think about yourself as a future ancestor. I said, think about yourself as a grandmother or a grandfather. What teachings do you want to give your grandchildren? What kind of world do you want them to live into? Because these forward predictions are a part of who we are as a people. It's a part of our original instructions, the 7th generation prophecy. A lot of people are familiar with it, but I'm curious to know, how do we build the space within Native kids to maintain an Indigenous, a Native, an Anishinaabe, a Dakota worldview that is rooted in our ancestor teachings, right? And if no one's telling you, hey, Kija, think about the future grandmother you're going to be, you know, like it gives her the space to, maybe she don't have to answer it right now, but maybe she's going to keep thinking about it. She's going to have an answer for it. Like it's about being intentional about the kind of relative you are. And that's part of our teachings about how do we show up in relation to each other? How do we show up as good relatives to each other? So these are like the concepts that these Indigenous ideas, worldviews that we want to instill in our young folks, because we know that if a Native person is rooted in these teachings, they're going to excel. They're going to excel in school, in college, as a being, as a professional, as a partner, as a friend. If you're thinking about the kind of grandmother you're going to be, you're probably going to walk on this earth a little bit more intentional about your impact.
That's a whole word right there. If you're thinking about the kind of grandmother you're going to be. How does that impact the teenagers whose frontal lobes aren't developed to think about next month yet? You know, I mean, I have a pretty small after school program, right? And one of the things I've learned is that because teenagers are as tall as adults, we treat them like they have the same feelings and views and goals as us. But sometimes to a teenager, next month feels like a lifetime away still. And so how did you feel like that when you were in high school way back when? Like, did you know what I'm saying? Or does it feel like, can you see yourself as a grandmother at this stage?
It was definitely like, I wasn't thinking like, oh, I need to do this. But it definitely planted an idea in my head.
That said, what?
It said to be more intentional about the choices you make.
That's powerful.
And also, I think too, like, I really want to help foster an environment where youth are empowered and taken care of. So it's really important to me as a youth worker to make sure that teens they're still playful. And I think that in our spaces, for a lot of our youth, they don't really get a chance to be playful because they're required to be grown up a lot beyond their years, right? Yeah. A lot of them are taking care of their families. They're contributing to their families. A lot of them are in leadership positions within their families already. And so coming to a youth program, I want to make sure that their autonomy and their sovereignty as a being is honored and respected. And so like with also realizing that like our goal is just to guide them. It's not to change them per se. It's to help put the belief into them about who they are and they're always meant to be. And we're just supposed to spark that every single day. If we can plug them back into our original instructions, our original way of being, if we can plug them back, whether it's in a smudge or whether it's working with a positive role model, whether it's having a safe space to convene, there's a lot of different approaches that we use. And I think that the staff at MIGIZI are so impressive. They work hard, they go above and beyond. They care about the whole being of these young people. And we do see them as young people, but we honor their presence in a way that I think that is special about being Native, is that our young people are given a lot of room to be leaders. It's within our structure of how we build our people.
I'm imagining that must be a real jolt to the system then, to walk into a public school that says get in line number 732.
Yes. When my nephew is in 9th grade right now. And when he was first going to public school, I was so worried about his little wings that we cultivated, his indigenous worldview that we worked on with him, his freedom. I was so worried about it getting clipped by the regulatory nature of schools, the controlling nature of schools, that I know that like our kids have a hard time, and Native people, I have a hard time in that type of structure where you're getting in trouble, you're getting, you're getting even humiliated sometimes. And so when we hear the stories of our youth and our young people, they're so fiery, and I love when they stand up and when they use their voices and when they speak. That's one of my favorite parts about going to school board meetings, is watching the young people come up.
Me too. Yes.
I'm just like, I'm blown away every single time. And I think that's some of our teachings too, is about like the young people are still plugged into like the spirit world in a way that like adults aren't. So that's
I totally agree.
That's what makes them so special, is like they really believe they can change the world.
Yes.
And I'm so tired of working with adults who are really set on maintaining status quo.
Totally. It actually came up for me this week. There's a person who I know, a woman of color, who took an action against something. And my first instinct was, that was not smart. And then I see the youth has no patience for that. Right.
Yeah.
But what I was like, oh, this is where it's not my job to coach. This is where I learn.
Yeah.
Because she has something to teach me here. Her tolerance for abuse in this situation is lower than mine, as it should be.
Yeah.
And if I give advice, I actually felt myself going there like, oh, I know the way. And then I had to pull back and say, actually, I think she knows a beyond me way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trusting.
Yeah. And I think sometimes you get a set of experiences in life that create wisdom, and I've been here before, so I know what to do. But also my generation, our culture, we endured all power over and no power with, and this generation isn't having it. They aren't going to just hand over power because of who you are institutionally. And I love that.
And we're seeing that right now kind of with TikTok right now, and everyone going over to that new platform. It's like the young people leading it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think sometimes folks think, well, if you just keep taking away, they won't thrive. But it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And also, I think I have to remind myself to lean into their nature, because I'm reminded. I love when a young person is reminding me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm the auntie now, because I'm getting reminded of like how I used to be, And I'm like, oh yes, my job is to make way for you. Oh, that's my role, is to make way. and to make it possible that their dreams go further than I was able to reach.
Yeah. Can you sort of feel when an adult is confident and like when I say that, like someone my age is more confident enough to like sort of let you be yourself, and when they lack the confidence in themselves to let you be yourself? Does that make sense? Do you know the question that I'm asking? So in other words, I have this sense that like youth can sense who they are so strongly that when an adult who doesn't know who they are tries to tell them who to be, see, okay, that's where, there we go. We got there. Sometimes it takes me a second iteration to get the thought. And so what is that experience like? Like,
Don't talk to me.
there you go. Just don't, right?
Yeah. You don't know who you are. I don't need to listen to you.
Easy.
And that happens a lot, especially, and you see that in some of our youth's lived experiences. They have more lived experiences than probably a lot of the adults that they encounter outside of our community.
Yeah. And so then with all of that wisdom, you're being told something to do something by a person who has no idea that wisdom exists. Yeah. That makes me feel dysregulated all the way down to my bones, and I'm not being told it. What do you wish Minneapolis public schools or any public school system did? And I don't mean, necessarily, but like did to honor these teachings? Like what would be a way that we could bridge these the institution with culture, like that, in a way that would be broadening this experience of like letting the youth lead versus, the youth have to conform? What could that look like?
Radical. It would have to be a radical reimagining. And I think that, I don't know, because like, we're not doing really good. We're not doing well by Native students right now in the district. And it hasn't improved. Not since I was in high school. I don't know. I don't know when it was ever good for us. The structure of education. I don't know when it was good for us. And I do want to believe that, these are the tools that are going to help us shape a future for our people that's going to be, and I think about this often because, like I said, if we go back to like 7-generation prophecy theory and we apply that, and I think about the future ancestors, and I think about my role in like crafting that world for them, I want them to be there happy and joyful. I want Native people in the future to have an abundance of rest, an abundance of joy and creativity. I want Native people to be reconnecting to our culture and our life ways. I want them to be preserving it. I want them to be so blissful that they're making a plan for the future that for Native people, because that's going to be their goal as their generation, to make the plan for the next 7. Yes, you see that? How it happens?
Yes.
And so I see a lot of our leaders right now, like they step into that role, but unfortunately a lot of our people are still surviving the daily struggle and grind. Yeah. Colonization for our people has not stopped.
No.
It takes on many different forms. And assimilation is definitely something that we struggle with as a people to maintain who we are. And I think like if we can maintain our indigenous worldview, our Anishinaabe worldview, I want to preserve that for the future. And we do that at MIGIZI with their storytelling, with FPP, with green tech. We remind the kids that Native people, we've always been scientists. That's what our green tech instructor, she's a scientist. She's Mille Lacs Band Ojibwe. Her name's Antavia. She is brilliant. She working alongside these young people, like I'm hearing them have goals in the green tech field that I'd never even imagined. And they're artists and she's showing that she's helping showing them and crafting them this way, like Kaya has with B'nai Shikwe. And B'nai Shikwe too is a alum of MIGIZI.
Yeah.
Right. So she's one of our longest employees, and she's young. And she also participated in the program, which a lot of our a few of our staff, so all of our junior staff are all like alums of MIGIZI. And then but we also, any other adult staff alums, not right now, but we have employed them in the past. So this idea of this tiered mentorship is very prominent within our community, and definitely a practice at MIGIZI.
Well, I'm so grateful to the two of you for being here today, for sharing about your work, for sharing about like your philosophy. And I just wondered if there was like any burning last thoughts that you want to share, anything that you want to leave the community of those that support Minneapolis Public Schools to think about.
I think for us, like we always have our goals that we're working on. Like we're always trying to work on credit recovery, partnering with the district on that, making sure we have teachers available. We work a lot with Minneapolis Indian Ed, which I adore and love, and the programming there. The director there is Jen Simon. She's developing a real community engagement model that isn't putting the work on communities to do it.
Whoa. Yes.
But
yes.
In partnership and collaboration.
Yes.
Because what I know about community-led efforts and engagement is true investment looks like something you haven't thought about. And I think that in order to get there, we have to be creative about who's at the table.
Yeah.
Our original equity initiatives, who's at the table? Like if it can't be designed without us. And I think that, like our communities have been doing this work at the front line for a long time.
Yeah.
And I feel like we keep saying the same things that we need. And it gets frustrating because I bet you, like even with our first person productions, our first person's radio, we have an archive, and it's Native students from the 70s who are now our elders, who are speaking on the same things. They want liberation for Native people. We want autonomy and sovereignty for our people. There are treaties right now in Minnesota that aren't honored.
Yeah.
The Dakota people are still exiled. There is still some grave injustices that are impacting Native people currently right now. The number of our unsheltered.
Yeah.
The overrepresentation of our people in prisons.
Yes.
The overrepresentation of our children in the foster care system. And so like, I want Native people to be disproportionately impacted by goodness. Imagine a world where we lived and we took care of the first people of this land and we centered things around them. What's good for Native people? Because guess what? If we centered our initiatives around what's good for Native people or what's good for Black people, everyone benefits, right?
Everyone benefits. Yes.
And I believe in that. And those are not just Native teachings. Those are rooted in the true definition of equity.
That was a solid last word, Lisa. Is there anything you want to say as final thoughts?
No, I think she said it all.
Yeah, it was pretty solid. Well, I want to thank both of you for being here today. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. your experiences, your work with us, and your joy and your dreams for liberation. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Miigwech. Mi'u. Bizendawieg.
Thank you.